Imagine creating a brand new superhero franchise which grosses over billions of dollars only to leave it to rot. That's exactly what Cartoon Network did with Ben 10. This scene is 2002. The executives at Cartoon Network are on the hunt for the next big action cartoon, and they bring in the help of Man of Action, telling them
they wanted Fantastic Four for young boys.
Man of Action is a group of comic book artists made up of Joe Casey, Joe Kelly, Duncan Rouleau and Steven Seagal, who worked on big titles such as X-Men and Superman. When called in by Cartoon Network, they pitched 20 different ideas in 20 minutes, telling them you'll know what you're looking for when you hear it. With the deal signed, work began on creating what was then originally known as Force 10. Force 10 still started out with Ben Tennyson, although he looked a little bit different. So did the Omnitrix too, resembling more of an earthly watch. The aliens also looked a little different. Actually, because they weren't even aliens, they were just superheroes originally. Digger later became Wildmutt, Dragonfly obviously Stinkfly. Ghost Freak was still called Ghost Freak, but looked a bit more freaky. Grey Matter was also still called Grey Matter, although he looks more like a demon. Inferno became Heat Blast, which looks very similar to a mix between The Thing and Human Torch, which is funny because
They wanted Fantastic Four for young boys.
Plant Guy became Wildvine, Razor Jaws, Rip Jaws, Strong Guy, Forearms. Upgrade still Upgrade, just a lot different. I can't imagine this upgrade morphing onto anything. And finally Accelerate. Eventually, after realising this concept was already too similar to a DC comic called Dial H for Hero, they eventually went with the familiar idea to use aliens in the Omnitrix as opposed to just mutants or superheroes. After 2 to 3 years of development, Ben 10 premiered on Cartoon Network on the 27th of December 2005 to incredible critical acclaim. It was a fresh, brand new idea about a 10-year-old who found a watch from outer space that could transform him into 10 different aliens, and it hit like a meteor. Cartoon Network had found lightning in a bottle, and they knew it. Within a year, the Ben 10 brand was selling out in toy stores. Alien figures, Omnitrixes, you name it, it sold, and it sold well. The classic series ran for 3 years, and with its incredible world building, lore, action and so on, it was inevitable that a sequel was in order. It's 2008. Ben 10 Alien Force premieres with the now 15-year-old Ben Tennyson growing up alongside the fans of the classic and tackling more mature themes in the classic series. By this stage, Man of Action had stepped back slightly to work on Generator Rex, another Cartoon Network show, and instead Ben 10 Alien Force was helmed by Glenn Murakami and the late Dwayne McDuffie. This time around, Ben had a recalibrated Omnitrix and 10 brand new aliens, which fit the more mature style of the sequel. It debuted receiving mixed to positive reviews with a clear divide amongst the community. Some people loved the more serious tone, while others missed the classic for its lightheartedness and jokes. Season 1 and 2 had a clearly defined overarching story, character progression and tone, and the end of Season 2 often marks a pivotal shift in the franchise for a lot of the community. See, at the end of the day, Cartoon Network is a business. They work for the money, and with Ben 10 Alien Force, it just wasn't selling enough toys for their liking. Ben 10 was always a massive merchandise franchise. The majority of the money for classic series came from the toy sales, and while the grown-up, more mature sequel was great for those growing up alongside the show, it just didn't appeal to the younger kids, the main demographic who actually buy the toys. So Cartoon Network put the foot down and started taking a more hands-on approach with the writing of the show to try to encourage more toy sales. Season 2 ends on a big battle which has been building since the first episode, and now Season 3 rolls around. Immediately the tone shift can be detected even from just these 2 clips.
Listen guys, I'm sorry I took Morningstar's side over yours. And more important, that I wasn't watching your back.
It wasn't your fault. I guess Morningstar had some kind of control over me.
It was my fault. I was in such a hurry to build our team, I ignored the danger. If I'm going to be a good leader, I'm going to need to show better judgment.
I'm not kidding, Ben. I'm really mad at you.
But you won't stay mad at me. I'm adorable.
You're completely full of yourself.
Which is forgivable because I'm so adorable.
You were late for a mission. Kevin and I could have been killed.
You've been obnoxious ever since you
Saved the whole entire universe?
See? You're doing it again.
Ben was made to be a lot more immature and cocky. New aliens were pumped out to have more toys to sell. The building storyline and stakes now seem to be all over the place, and this threw a lot of people. Unfortunately though, it worked in Cartoon Network's favour, and toy sales did increase after Season 3 premiered, although this was short-lived. The network knew they needed to do more to keep toy sales high, and that brings us to premiering in April 2010 in America, or the 10th of October 2010 for the rest of the world, the third iteration of Ben 10, the sequel to Alien Force, where Ben looks exactly the same, has basically the same aliens and the same... Why did they do this? Oh yeah, new gimmick. Ben now has the Ultimatrix, a knockoff of the Omnitrix, which has the ability to turn his alien transformations into their ultimate form. It's actually a pretty cool concept. Basically, what would happen if we took this alien, locked them in a battleground for a million years, and then see what war-torn, traumatized, shell-shocked nightmare they emerge as. Weirdly enough though, from the 46 aliens Ben has unlocked by this point, only 8 transformations ever actually received an ultimate form, which seems strange considering their main goal was toy sales. You think more ultimates would mean more toys to sell, but who am I to critique the decisions of Cartoon Network on their biggest franchise? Ultimate Alien was also a mixed bag for its reception. The new Ultimate gimmick, along with Ben's identity being leaked, led to a lot of new avenues for storytelling. Ultimate Alien culminated in this huge battle which spanned many episodes for
You stabbed me.
Then Ben gets a new Omnitrix and the Ben 10 Omniverse premieres on the 1st of August 2012, once again with a brand new art style and a handful of new heroes. Omniverse took a weird angle in that they continued on from 16-year-old Ben and Ultimate Alien, but also sometimes did episodes with 11-year-old Ben, supposedly after the summer of the classic series, even though this contradicts Alien Force, where Ben says,
And we barely used to beat him in the old days.
We were like 10 years old.
But hey, retcons are a big part of this franchise, and I'm not about to get into that.
Even First Thinker Asma's voice and appearance has changed on at least 3 occasions.
Although, let me know down below if you'd like to see a separate video on that. Omniverse lasted for 8 series and actually had the most episodes out of all the shows so far, but ultimately was cancelled due to low ratings. There's a lot of speculation as to why exactly Omniverse was cancelled, as the season 8 finale teased a space road trip, which unfortunately never came to light. Another cancelled idea was the return of the Negative 10, a sort of rogues gallery for Ben, which debuted in a 2-part finale of the classic series. A Reddit user by the name of Crystal Productions suggests that because of low toy sales, the show was axed and aired off in the early mornings to keep ratings down so that it could be a tax write-off. DC Network also chalks the low ratings up to the awkward episode errands and suggests Cartoon Network's direction was to move away from action shows.
The reason why it did poorly, quote-unquote, ratings-wise is because Cartoon Network mishandled the way they aired the episodes, and that was Christina Miller's Cartoon Network, and I truly believe this when I say this. I genuinely do think that the reason why Ben 10 Omniverse ended was because Christina Miller just wanted to get action off the channel.
And that marks the end of Ben 10 Prime as we know it. Until 2016, when Cartoon Network had to wake up their cash cow and milk it for the last few drops it had, giving us this abomination. I'm not going to get into the reboot too much because I personally haven't seen it, but also because it's another massive divide in the community. Some people hate it, some people tolerate it, but it's obviously meant to appeal to the much younger generation, the toy buying generation. It had a good run, actually the longest of all the shows with over 160 episodes, although these were cut down to 11-minute episodes instead of the usual 22. Despite receiving generally negative reviews from critics, in the US the series has been viewed by 41 million viewers across multiple platforms, so the reboot succeeded in what it was made for, to capture a new generation into the world of Ben 10 and to sell them toys. The Ben 10 reboot concluded its run in April 2021, meaning at the date of this recording it has been over 4 years since any new Ben 10 media has been released. For a franchise which has captured the hearts of millions and grossed over $7.85 billion to just be left on the shelf is insane. But when you look at the state of Cartoon Network today, it becomes even more baffling. Constant reruns of Regular Show, Adventure Time, The Amazing World of Gumball, the exact same shows I used to watch almost 15 years ago now. Cartoon Network really is a shell of its former self. I suppose when you look at the entertainment industry at large nowadays, that's not really anything out of the ordinary. Movies are just reboots or rewrites of previously loved classics, video games are just enhanced editions or remasters. Companies are afraid to take risks creatively now, and would much rather bank on the success of previous titles, which leads everything to just become a little stale. Friday the 26th of July 2024, out of the blue, an article was posted by comicbookclub.com announcing that Dynamite Entertainment has expanded its license with Warner Bros, signing up Ben 10 for a brand new comic book series. Since Dynamite Entertainment is responsible for series like The Boys and Vampirella, it opens the doors for a more mature Ben 10 story, as Kuro the artist puts it best.
A Ben 10 story free from the shackles of broadcasting standards can push these stories further and give us stories we may not be able to see on Cartoon Network. I'm not saying just go straight to the blood and gore, but when you write towards a more mature audience, you can have stronger and deeper characters and storylines.
But since that article almost a year ago, still no new information has been released. We still have no idea if this is a retelling, a continuation, or just something else entirely. Although if this comic book series sells well, who knows, it may open the door to a Ben 10 animated series like we've never seen before. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like, maybe even subscribe, but most importantly, please make sure you leave a comment telling me what you loved about Ben 10 and what you hope the new series has to offer.